We're now in our big business story. Credit bureaus are becoming an established part of the financial system. Creditinfo Jamaica, Jamaica's first licensed credit bureau, has reached its first-year milestone. We're joined online by Camar Williams, Sales and Marketing Manager at Creditinfo Jamaica. Good morning, Camar, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning to you too, and thank you for having me.
No problem. Now tell us, Camar, just very quick, how does a credit bureau work?
Well, it's quite simple. How the credit bureau actually operates is that you have several different information providers out there, and in our particular jurisdiction, these are deemed to be the financial institutions primarily, and there are also some others who are specifically named in the Act. So we're really talking about the banks, the credit unions, the microfinance companies, but specifically those who fall as under the Money Lending Act. You're also speaking about hire purchase companies. You're also speaking about securities dealers, insurance companies, and then you have student loan, NHT, and the Development Bank of Jamaica, who are specifically named in the Act. Now, all of these institutions are what we consider to be eligible information providers. It is not mandatory that they share information with us, but they have an opportunity to participate in a program that allows us to collect their data on all their constituents, all their borrowers, all the exposures that they have, and in so doing are able now to benefit from the pool that has been created by all the other institutions who are sharing similar information. Sure. So ideally what would take place is that whenever they need to get an assessment on any of their constituents or anybody who is new to their operation, they would simply make a call upon us electronically to access a report, and that report would reveal, based on who is sharing with us, all the different exposures that one has, that the individual has. So that's essentially how it all operates.
How has it been in terms of, say, the companies, that wide gamut of companies that you listed in your first year of operations? How would you describe it? How has the response been?
Well, we had some challenges. I mean, if I stood here and tell you that everybody was very receptive and it all happened very quickly.
I like that honesty. Go on, Camar. Yeah.
Right. It was a challenge because what happened when we started operations in 2012 after receiving our license, and it actually took us a year to get that license, we found that a number of institutions were at that point where they understood the importance of having a credit bureau. I would imagine that quite a number of them also did their research and recognized that in all developed countries in the world, there is a credit bureau, and that is perhaps one of the reasons why you have that level of development. And in all the underdeveloped countries, they don't. So they recognize the concept and appreciate the value of it, but then there were quite a number of things that needed to be done in order to move them from the state of understanding and appreciate the value of the bureau to actually being plugged into the system. And during that, in the middle of that path, what is required is that each of these institutions need to be able to put the necessary infrastructure in place to allow us to collect their information. And that requires a lot of technical work. And so the operational side of it, to get the data from there, took quite a while. We have institutions who have signed agreements with us in 2012, and we didn't even end up getting that data until just recently. So everybody understood, everybody bought in, but to get the data was a challenge. And you must appreciate that based on the description I gave you earlier, so how the Bureau operates, the very livelihood of our operation is reliant on data. And so it was a challenge in the first part, I should say.
Yeah, but I'm sure, but knowing Jamaica, knowing how we operate, William, it wouldn't, Camar, it wouldn't really surprise me. I'm happy that, you still were able to, the impression you give me, and that my impression in the media is that, your efforts have been bearing fruit, though. It's not entirely, it's not like you making bread out of stone.
Yeah, no, it isn't. It isn't. No. It's just that our projections and what we had anticipated happening in the short term took us longer.
I understand.
And so our business model came under some strain, and that's the mere fact of how we operated, having projected to be earning a lot earlier than we actually started.
I understand.
But I will say to you, and make it very absolutely clear, that every institution is moving in the direction that we want at this stage. And they're all at a very advanced stage. Some who have actually started to share information with us, some who are pulling information from us, and others who are poised to send us data in a very short order.
Camar, something you said that will remain with me, where you made that distinction about developed countries having had, maybe a longer history of credit bureaus, and that maybe what distinguishes developed from underdeveloped could even be that very facility. I thought that was a very serious point.
Right.
Very quickly.
One a little further if you want. Okay, go ahead.
Come on, I just wanted to ask you, what's next? I mean, 1 year and you're moving on. What's next that you can share with us?
Well, we envisage a complete transformation of the financial landscape in the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
And what that requires is that institutions will then start to appreciate the value of the Bureau and how to actually utilize the Bureau to get into a different form of operation. So what really happens now in the traditional setting is that when you as a borrower go to, say, the Bank of Nova Scotia and you're requesting a loan, they're going to be doing their traditional checks, asking for your pay slip, proof of address, location, and so forth, and doing their ID verification methods and so forth, before deciding that they're going to give you an off-the-shelf product, as I like to describe it. Now, what we really want to see happen in the next 2 to 3 years is that institutions get into what is called pricing of risk, because I think there's a general fear out there that each individual is going to be harmed by the presence of the Bureau.
Rather than seeing it as an ally.
All the viewers, all the listeners out there.
Okay. That the Credit Bureau will ultimately become an ally rather than the enemy.
Yes, it will. Because there is no quote-unquote bad customer out there, right?
Yes.
Each customer out there is entitled to get a facility that is in alignment with how they have been managing their credit. And that's what we're trying to promote.
Kamar Williams, and Kamar is Sales and Marketing Manager of Creditinfo Jamaica. And he was sharing with us on the first year of Jamaica, the operations of Jamaica's first licensed credit bureau. And Kamar was so frank. Thank you so much. Kamar Williams, Sales and Marketing Manager at Creditinfo Jamaica. Have a great day now, Kamar.
Thank you very much for having me, and I wish the same for each and every one that has been listening to the program.
Thank you so much.